Hi there, valiant and exhausted viewers. It's not an easy time, I feel, for the American viewers living through this particular epoch, but it is history in the making. Horrendous, but it is also a really important time. This is the changing of the guard in America. So the shutdown is symptomatic of that. So around the world, I'm sure a lot of people are sympathetic to the federal workers and the impact this is having on their lives. Of course, most of the GOP don't realise, even some of them have said, they don't believe people live payday to payday. What planet are they residing on? I want to move there. I want to move there. And you have Mitch McConnell, the wealthiest man in the Senate, coming from the poorest state. So the poorest in America vote for the richest. Equality, not seeing it. I put a link on my most recent video to a very good article in Alternet about American capitalism. And I think it's important to understand there are different economic models, and there isn't one form of capitalism. And it compares what happens with the social democratic model in the Scandinavian countries and America. It's quite fascinating. Oh, in case you're wondering, I'll just give you a look at this gorgeous doorway behind me. I fell for this house because of the doors. You're welcome to steal the idea if you want to cut out a bit of wall. It'll never get cleaned, probably, the glass, but isn't it cute? All right, so I'm shuffling away here. I'm going to use the Japaridze deck, and I'm going to ask some questions on the shutdown because it's reached this dreadful stalemate. Okay, so let's have a general look at the shutdown first and then ask a couple of questions. What's happening with the stalemate itself? The tower kicks off. Oh. And death reversed. Regular intrepid viewers will know how rare a reversal is in the way I do tarot. This is not good. Well, of course it's not good. You know, of course it's not good. Both the tower, which is over this reading, the collapsing tower, plus the death card, they're both about endings of things. And so this is a big building block in the wall of a breaking down of the old America, but this is death reversed, which in a way is a good thing because it is the reversal of the death spiral causing this. So I'm quite pleased in a perverse way about that, if you see what I mean. So in other words, when things are as dramatically wrong as America, you've got a democracy where people can't vote, and then others who choose not to vote, and those who are struggling to get to a ballot box, and then other things are stolen. You've had 2 elections stolen outright, 2000 I think it was with Gore, and this one. A fundamental breakdown in democracy. You're not going to tidy it up by getting rid of one rogue president. And this is another reason, I'm just going to take a minute here, viewers. I'll lean a digression. Trump is a symptom. He's a symptom. This is what happens when people take their eye off the ball for 2 and 3 generations. Something like Trump couldn't just happen. It couldn't have happened for other reasons before, because there was more respect for the institutions. But now the kleptocracy, the real swamp, the one thing Donald Trump said that was right was it was a swamp. is so entrenched that it has to be absolutely destroyed in order to rebuild. So I encourage you to feel excited on some deep level and committed on some deep level to being part of the change. It's no good pretending it isn't a crisis. It is a crisis, but it's an essential crisis to rebuild and go back to the values that were important as foundational values to America, right? As well as new values. We are 220 years on or something from when the Constitution came about, so there needs to be new values too. Okay, so this is dramatic but important. And the shutdown is symbolic as well as literal. So it's literally pain for those who aren't being paid, but it's symbolic as well that this guy will stop at nothing. Sorry, digression part 2. Trump's intransigence on this issue is a major hurdle, a major problem, a major challenge. But the deep-rooted problem is the GOP going along with it. That's the problem. Okay, now remember a reading or so ago, we got the flowers coming through the hand in the wall. And given all the fuss about the wall and the hands coming through, beware being offered a bouquet by someone you can't see. In other words, America, you've got to be very careful about who you trust, but also flowers are symbolic of a new energy, particularly in relation to that wall thing. So we're still talking about the shutdown here in a general sense. The Stranger of Gardens. This is the Knight of Pentacles. In the Rider-Waite deck, it's the card of the Warhorse and the Mercenary. But in this deck, what you'll see here, if you look at the imagery, it's rather beautiful and a little bit sinister. It's the mask, there's the bat wings, there are underneath the flowers and the bird and the pods of new life here. So it contains all those elements. What looks sinister and bad contains the seeds of beauty and things flourishing and growing again. Right? Now, I'm just going to do a little clarifier, then I'm going back to the Japaridzi for some more questions. I want a clarifier regarding the shutdown on this Six of Gardens. Six of Gardens. I'll tell you a bit more about the Six of Gardens in a sec. Yeah, look at this figure. It's like a tired worker. It's like a tired worker sitting down, not working. How deeply ironic, right? How weird is that? The other thing I wanted to point out about the Six of Gardens, which is the Six of Pentacles, in the Rider-Waite, it's the card of compromise. So we need to ask the questions now about what form will that compromise take. But I think the worker sitting down and looking worried couldn't be more specific. Thank you, Sibylla Oracle. All right, now I'll put Death the right way up there. Put these cards back. And the next question. So, what's going to break the stalemate? What's going to break the stalemate on the shutdown? What's going to break the stalemate? Oh, I pulled two out together. Oh, we've got the skeletons again. Okay, this is a spread of conciliation. So something is going to give, but it won't be easy. Okay, on top of the reading, 9 of Tides, 9 of Cups, the Star, and the inspiration and innocence of the child, everything that's good. People who are working on breaking this stalemate, that is the good energy, the inspirational energy, and God knows it's needed. The Wheel of Fortune. So I'm getting two things on this. One, that the shutdown, horrendous as it is, this is the card of destiny, is part of moving the whole bigger story forward. Also, because it's the Wheel of Destiny, it's absolutely meant to be, and it's how it's resolved is what is important. The process that resolves it in itself is really important. The skeletons warring, this is all the parties not giving way, fighting for their position. This is the no one really winning. Victories and losses, meaning some people win, some people lose all the time when you enter into these sort of conflicts. So that's where we are now at. This is the current position, looking for the inspiration and the way out. And the mini outcome card, Temperance, meaning balance and harmony, finding a way through it. So that's setting the tone nicely for that. So let's go back to the Sybillas and see. I want a clarifier on what the lesson is in the Wheel of Fortune and a clarifier on the Temperance and the form it'll take. So what's the lesson in here? What's the lesson in here? The lesson, look at this figure. The Homme de Loire. I take it, because I will stress viewers, I'm not ultra familiar with this deck. Unlike Soul Light Hypnotherapy, who does a wonderful job, and also Rosie, who uses it. It's like this piece of paper I take to be the Constitution. This is the robed figure. It's like, given the question, it's like go back to basics, go back to the wisdom of the older people, go back to the law and look for a legal, it's a legal message. If you allow Trump to go forward, for example, with the national emergency, this figure is brought into play. The wheel, the more I look at it, the more I think it is about whether or not he'll call a national emergency. It's in his head, and it's in his dizzy, drug-addled, self-obsessed brain, the whole fate of 360 million people, you know, so over and above the federal workers. The whole fate of America is resting on what is churning around in his maladjusted cranium. So the advice is to go back to basics and back to the legals. Temperance. What are we looking at here with the Temperance card? How will the stalemate break? The Temperance card. Clarifier, please. Temperance card. Absence, longing. Absence and longing. Someone's left. and someone is missing them. So it seems to me someone will have to leave for it to change. It's going to leave. I'm going to go back to these. I'm going to ask a question here on Lindsey Graham. So before I do, someone missing, someone's departed. It could be retrospective in the sense of missing John McCain. I'm getting John McCain's vibe here because there's no one representing that sort of best of America stuff left in the Republicans. It could be that lack. But I have a feeling someone else is going to leave over this issue, and that could make a difference. It'd be good if it was Trump. But there we go. Okay, the question I'm going to ask now is about Lindsey Graham. Intrepid viewers will know Lindsey, Queen of Swords, lives in the closet, Graham. It's the weirdest thing, isn't it? Some of the most vicious things that have been said about Trump were said by Lindsey Graham. And some of the most delirious things in support of him were said by Lindsey Graham. And he's now in this push to, go the wall, go the wall. So maybe this other card is about the defection of other Republicans. I don't know, but I want to know a little bit about Lindsey. Tell me about Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham. It keeps coming up. 6 of them. Okay. So it's almost exactly like I was just saying when he was critical of Trump, representing law and order, the Hierophant, the system of rules that governs a society, right? On the one hand, he's deeply enmeshed in that, although he might be better off really leaving the Republican Party and moving to California full-time and having a good time. But in his original self, there's a deep respect for that. But now he's compromised the hand through the wall with the flowers. Hand through the wall with the flowers. You can't trust it. But see how the female figure is drawn to the beauty of the flowers, is drawn to the offer. So maybe it's Lindsey Graham's hand through the wall. He could be playing a double game. Okay, he could be playing a double game here. Because he does flip-flop from basically saying Trump's a risk to America and the world to saying the wall. Here's the wall. It's like he's saying, let's pretend. You remember the other video I was saying as a joke? I was saying it as a joke. Why not give him a bit of money to play with in the sandpit and build the wall? Don't you love the way they're soaring through the slats and showing Donald Trump the tunnels under the wall where they already exist and so forth? I think it's like he's pretending about the wall. There's a pretense there. That would make sense. But he might be able to do something. Let's just call it. Can he do something by pretending? Can he drag some of those ultra far-right Republicans along or something? Has he got another agenda? Has Lindsey Graham got another agenda as opposed to just supporting Trump? Has he got another agenda? The Sun. That's interesting. That's interesting. I'm going to give Lindsey a not entirely deserved benefit of the doubt here. He gets the Sun, viewers. Now, the Sun can be shining a light on something devious, but usually in its essential self, Sun. So I think he's playing a game of deception to get a good result for the country. I don't think it's about a good result for Donald. He's a complicated man. He's a very complicated man. Oh, okay. Now, the other thing, viewers, Well, several. There's always other things. What's happening? Personally, if you asked me in a cafe or on the street what was going to get rid of Donald Trump, I'd have to keep coming back to the stock market. It's not until they feel it in their financial pockets they'll finally stand against him. So that's my generic feel. But also regarding impeachment, now the Dems are in, there will be talk of impeachment. Things might even start down that track, but he won't go out being impeached. I really don't think so. Now, the other readers that you guys follow too, I'm sure, most people think, and it's curious, from the beginning, Kirsten Langston said this, Linda G said this, Dave Moonride said this. It's not going to be an impeachment that gets him out. The threat of impeachment might push him, but it's not going to get to play out. His problem is he can't leave, because if he leaves, he's just a mere mortal who's going to go to jail. So we are going to see Caligula in full flight, but eventually I think the GOP, individual members of the GOP are going to push him. That's my take on the world up to this hour. I wanted to say also about the personal readings. I do them via Skype, and we can make a plan with the time differences. So if you're interested, please email me, and we'll take it from there. Okay, and thank you for your support. It means the world to me. Can't wait to see your comments. All right then, take care, guys.